Welcome back to the lab. We're back in lockdown. Oh dear. It happens. You'll remember the transfer case. Bushes, stuff and things. I think I told you about that. Did I tell you about that? But anyway, I've done these. I've done these normal thing bushes from Waikato Bearings. Supplied the bar stock and I've turned those bushes down. Good as gold. This is what the big hole in here was for. Was to get this silicon hose, which is repurposed. It's actually a 350Z1 from Z1 Motorsports, and it was used on this car for a similar purpose. It came over the top of the original factory thing that's in the... This is basically a trolley of things that aren't going back in the car, probably. So it's that. I've redone... It's actually the original pipes. This one just went in the lathe and had a polish up to make it look new. It's not brand new, but it's new enough. I could do a whole episode on making some brackets. Bad Obsession Motorsport. Brackets, cups of tea, things, stuff and things. Some welding. Is it? I mean, it's not the best welding. It's all right. These little dots here, they're actually vivid, and that just tells me where that bracket goes, so I can mark it up on the car and get it sorted. These will actually, I think they'll get a polish when we get there. So I posted up a picture of this one here on our Facebook page. This originally, this came from here, came straight, had a piece of silicon hose from, I don't know, somewhere around here. Went across over the top of here, another piece of aluminium tube along there, and had 90 degree up there, and then it went straight up, way up there to that. So, hot pipe running underneath the alternator, not ideal. Kind of want to try and keep that cool if you can. So, and it's kind of a long way to get there. Longer. I'll measure it later, for a laugh, and see how much I've saved. But, so now we've got one less elbow, silicon elbow, which are far heavier. So we're talking tens of grams, but it's heavier than an aluminium elbow, and it's a point of failure. And so we've got two less joins there. So we've got a 90 degree, we've got a weld instead of another silicon coupler. We come down over the top again. That would have been a silicon band of some description, but it's not anymore. So that whole lot will be tiny, a little bit lighter, less prone to failure, and more expensive. But then fine. Same deal over here. This came down, this tube here, came down a little bit further. Actually had a silicon 90 degree coupler around the corner here, but this is a low point on the car, so that was tending to get hit by debris and stuff when I was doing agricultural contracting at the racetracks, falling off. So dealt with that. That's not there anymore. Similar sort of thing at the front here. This had some sort of conglomeration, there it is on the bench there, conglomeration of crap to get over the top of that bend that we had. So we're not doing that anymore. We'll just do it in as solid as much as we can. So I've got as far as that, and I looked at the front end here and thought, I'm going to tear that radiator out and redo everything in here and lower it and all that sort of carry on, and then to change my mind. Not going to do that. We'll do something with this. This is a very, very hefty piece of aluminium. It's 5 mils thick. Oh, it's probably 85 wide or something like that, 40 high, something. It's a hefty piece of gear that really doesn't have to be as strong as that. So that'll get biffed, remade. This one here is easy. We can go straight from here to the pump. If the pump stays there, it may shift. Probably won't. We'll see. So, and then I was just in the process of going to weld the one that goes from there to there. Like that. Magic. The reason why we've got a bit of a kinky kink in there is because there's actually not a lot of room under the front of this car. As you can see, that's getting pretty close. We literally have to do, I'll put the straight line under it, and we're just clear of where our under tray will go. So I will actually smash a bracket onto here. I can actually just drill and tap into this as per that hole right there, because it's, I think it's 2.6 mil wall thickness, so it's good enough for simple little brackets and stuff. That, plus that tube there, concludes the water system. It'll be done, except there's a whole heap of hose clamps to go. So, I mean, as you can see, it's a bit of a mess made there. A few pieces in there that we don't need anymore. I could weigh the length of that compared to a... Let's do that. Let's put that on the scales and that on the scales. Bearing in mind the silicon would also need a couple of those with it. And we can see how much you lose per... whatever that is. Is it 300? It's 240, 250. So there'll be a bit there. I'm not going to guess at it. Yeah, I am. It's going to be 80 grams. Let's see. Kitchen scales, paper so this doesn't get dirty. 105 grams. Wow. I was pretty close. It's actually going to be worse than that because you're going to need 25 mils of aluminium tube on each end, so 50 mils of aluminium tube. So what's that? A fifth of the weight of what that was. It's getting lighter. Okay, so remembering, of course, the inside diameter of the aluminium tube is smaller than the silicon as well, so there's even more to be saved. I'm going to call it 120 something grams per 240 mils of length. Speaking of length, I said I'd measure this and check how much shorter it is. So that from this point up here, around all these corners and everything, to where we get to the bottom of the chassis, is 125 mils shorter than coming from straight there, underneath here, through here to here. And of course, when I went through there, I actually used, it's probably that exact same length of silicone hose that I was showing you before. So it came down from there with a pipe. It had a 90-degree silicone elbow. It had a straight for, I don't know, it was about this far. And then it had that silicone hose forward to here. So, I don't know, random guess, probably 300 kgs, I wish. 300 grams taken out of the back of the car just from shifting that. And probably $300 out of my pocket. But whatever. There you are. Job's done. There we go. That's how far our water goes to go from the hot bit. Oh, I can't even see it. Way up there, it comes out of the motor. There is a bleed up the top here, by the way. It comes out. This is the return from both turbo cooling systems into here. Should really have made that at one point, but didn't. Around the corner there, all the way to the front. Boom, into the radiator. Dual pass radiator. Tank split here in the middle, see? Pump sucks it back out. And fires it through the non-existent piece of pipe from here to here. Up there, through there. All the way through there. Up there, over there. That goes turbo feed, because there's an electric pump running all the time, right? So when the thermostat's closed, it's forcing what the electric pump's circulating through the turbos, through the back. When the thermostat's wide open, it might not be getting much flow, but never mind. Up there into the engine. Right, this bit here, orientation of that pump that was sitting here, that's got no guts in it right now. Don't worry, I wasn't running it however it was you were seeing it, like that, because they airlock and won't work properly. All this top end here gets all full of air and I don't run. So while I was busy doing whatever I was doing, I had that just flipped up out of the way. So it was positioned about here somewhere. So basically it was sitting on the bottom. And as you can see, there's a bit of a faux pas there, which is why it's come apart. And it's going to go on our Mate the Lathe here, the reliable machine. unlike that thing over there. Anyway, I'm going to stick that on there like that, and shorten the snout, and put a little step in there so the hose doesn't slip off. It actually goes, not sure if you can see in there, it actually steps to a slightly different size, so I just going to have to be very, very careful that I don't completely destroy it. Not scary at all. Actually, that's not bad. Pretty close to centre. Just a parting off tool, and we'll skim off that snout. There we go, no one died. It wasn't perfectly concentric, but it's enough for what we're doing. We can get a silicone elbow over that, a hose clamp on there, and it'll hold it, it'll seal. That's the end, just kicking around here somewhere. There we go. See, I didn't cheat and put it in the vise and use an angle grinder and then say did it on the lathe. Did it on the lathe. So it's big bore now. It's, it's a bigger hole than what I had before. I did have to swap the jaws over. As soon as I touched it with the tool, fired it out of the lathe. You couldn't grip it very nicely from the inside, so I swapped it, grabbed it from the outside. All done. Now we can carry on. And another bracket. Everyone loves a good bracket. Weld it on there. Look at it, it's beautiful. Don't worry, I'm not going to use these big massive washers. Or I might, just to annoy people. I'm running around trying to make everything lighter and put the heaviest washers I've got on there. They're good though for spreading the load out. I could probably just about do a pull up off that. Well, I could. It'd bend it, but it would hold my weight. So I must confess, I was trying to get this water pump in here. You'll see it's not how I had it set up originally. Just with a 90 off here, and it's one of those situations where you just stare at it and go for like 5 minutes and go, I don't know how I managed to make that work before. Must have accepted this elbow here that's on top of the pump. Must have had a big kink in it. It's still flowing, and I must have just said, oh, well, that'll do. I know that there's a panel that's under here, aluminium panel. It runs forward, and this pump was sitting basically on top of that, so it's quite a bit thinner than the signboard that goes against here. So it would have given us 2, maybe 3 millimeters more room than what I was aiming for, putting the level across, you know, underneath the car. So I don't know, I couldn't make that work and be happy with it today, so ironically I've put another elbow. That's, what did we say that was? That's like 120 grams worth of parts, and by the time you fill it up with water, that's 200 grams more. Damn it. Making it heavier again. But there you go. That's sans hose clamps, but that's it. That's the cooling system pretty much sorted out. Next up is probably the fuel system. I am shifting everything on that, reinventing all that. It may actually go on the passenger side inside the car under a false floor with some drain holes to the outside. Then it's quite serviceable and protected and safe, and puts the weight where I want it and all that. So this is all, as you can see, it all snuck in above where the floor goes. It's good. Right, that's it. That's all you're getting. Cool, bananas. All right, cheers, bye.